Hello, hello. Welcome to your mini reading. Let's get right into it. First, let's just have your initials, and then I want to search one thing. Gotcha. Okay, cool. My voice is still a bit scratchy. I did how many hours yesterday of talking nonstop? Around 8, maybe more. 8 or 9. So let's dive right in. All right. So, um, boom. So 30-minute reading. So I have you as KV. Oh yeah, I wanted to double check actually. Just the time. Correct, correct, correct. Okay, got it. Okay. All right, cool. Reset the timer. Okay. So, I'm gonna share the screen so you can kind of see what's going on, go back and forth between that and where is my famous stone. Okay, so right off the bat, we got I swear to God, like I have nonstop Tauruses these days. I did a double Taurus yesterday. I think like there's like 7 or 8 readings in a row that um had either like at least Taurus is their sun or their moon or both, which is funny. But so here's another one. And give me 1 second actually. I'm needing to find my Merlin stone. Where did I place the sacred item? Very elusive. Okay, whatever. Anyways, I'll show up later. Hiding. But yeah, so interesting. To have so much Taurus. um, so it's 7th house Taurus. We have ascendant in Scorpio with Neptune there, and North Node is conjunct Saturn in Aries. Very interesting in the 6th house. So let's see if you have any supporting fire. You have, yeah, just pretty much like so much in Taurus, Mars, and oh yeah, you have Venus right there. So you have Venus in fire. But air, there's nothing, no air in the chart. Um, so no air in the chart. However, your South Node, which is like representing your karmic tendency, is in Libra. So when I see that, my thought is usually on the lines of like, okay, this person most likely conquered Merlin Stone. The element of air in prior lifetimes. So they you know, they don't have it in their chart in this lifetime, because they don't, it's an energy that that's been conquered or understood deeply, whatever you want to say. So with that said, and the South Node being in the 12th, definitely, the vibe I get right off the bat is, your South Node is ruled by Taurus, or by Venus in Taurus rather, or by Venus in Aries conjunct the North Node, which is very interesting to have the South Node ruler conjunct the North Node, and Saturn right there as well. And basically, if you don't know, think of the South Node as, it's the been there, done that in past lives. It's not a bad thing. It's not a planet. It's just, what you're used to, kind of your default mode, right? So it's better to move away, because we're all here as humans to grow, right? So it's better to basically move towards your North Node. They're opposite points. So here in Aries, in the 6th, this is all about being in, conjunct Saturn. It's, a mix of Aries and Virgo energy. So it gives me this thought that there's a karmic tendency to be, let's see if there's squares. Nope. Let me just double check with my eyes. So it's cardinal. Yeah. So, there's a tendency to be a little bit too much in the kind of dreamy world, I guess you could say, like imagination, and when you combine 12 Pisces in Libra, those are the two signs that lack boundaries the most, right? So I'm trying to give you the biggest like karmic download, right? That's what I do. So from that standpoint, there, what I'm seeing here is that you're really trying to move away from allowing other people to kind of run your life, allowing other people to kind of just dictate your fate. Libra, in the shadow of its energy, is, it kind of, it can be very people pleasing. It can allow people to push it around. It can be too relationship centered, which is interesting because all of your Taurus does fall in the 7th house of, relationships, partnerships. But we'll get into that in a second. But basically, yeah, you combine that with Pisces. Pisces is also, it's so empathetic. 12th house Pisces, right? The connection. And what happens? So what I'm seeing is like a tendency that has pushed you away from your growth. It's pushed you away from your individual growth, because the energy has been too, I don't want to say collectivist, right? Because it is 12th house, which can be quite isolating. But I would think that it would be self kind of like, just I would say that the overall energy of that would be someone who self-sabotages by entering relationships, and allows these relationships to just dictate, kind of almost like submissive in a sense, right? But then it's also very, very psychic, right? That, and to have the 6th and 12th Pisces Virgo is, it's 12th house, 6th house, is the nodal axis with Aries and Libra. It brings us two axes into contention. So when I think about the Libra, I think, okay, well, there's a need, with the opposite sign, Libra and Aries, and North Node being in Aries. Let's look at that from the relationship standpoint, because relationships are so, is such a big part of the chart. And that would be kind of being a boss, not like bossy, but being, I mean, it is literally conjunct Saturn, which is the boss in Aries, right? So it's like, it's really asking you to take more of a, not letting people kind of just have their way with you, and really a huge lesson around speaking up for yourself, and being assertive and knowing your worth and so forth. Now, when you add, so basically, like, the extreme of one of the Libra would be like codependency, which when you have this many seventh house planets, there can be a tendency for codependency, right? Where you rely too much on relationships for your, for your happiness, and for the definition of who you are, for your meaning. We're all here trying to find meaning. And you know, the way I do astrology is I don't sugarcoat shit, like, because I know, and I always want to preface with everything I'm saying, is that I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not telling you, like, it would take like a live session, right, for like a follow-up for me to understand, how you've manifested these energies. I'm basically looking at the chart, and telling you the hand of cards that you were dealt, right? What you did with your free will, that is completely different. So, basically, yeah, like, so the extreme of Aries in the relation, in that axis, is like, I don't give a shit about anyone. Like, I'm literally just gonna, like, just almost selfish, right? So so it's about finding a balance in that. But having North Node in Aries, it definitely does, it's asking one to be more masculine. It's asking one to be a pioneer. It's asking one to really stand up for themselves. And when we add the 12th house and 6th house, it's about, and this could even be linked to creativity, right? It could be linked to finding yourself in some type of creative way, which could be something along the lines of, um, giving yourself space and giving yourself a life where you're able to really manifest what's truly inside you, not what society or what person A or person B or whatever, thought was best for you. So, having Saturn there on the North Node, it adds a Capricornian vibe to the Aries, right? The Aries being, and let me, I'll finish what I was saying first. So with the 6th house, North Node, that is, really, yeah, it's really about, like, kind of getting out of daydreaming, getting out of self-delusion, and really being more pragmatic, right? In the sense, more pragmatic, more logical, but not taking shit from people, right? And you stop saying So with Saturn is the boss, right? Saturn is the boss, and having Saturn and North Node together, it's a life. It's 1000% a very karmic, lots of fate playing out in your life, right? And in Aries 6, it's like, how can you take maybe these, let's say you have these, like, latent, uh or they were latent talents, right, from past lives, but you weren't able to manifest them. Like, think of the person who's, like, so stuck in their relationship, and they're just but they're actually like this creative genius. But they are investing so much energy and so much time into their relationship and in relationships like in general, um, that they don't give themselves that space to really go into themselves, really to really feel into themselves, right? And through that feeling, to it's like the metaphor of art therapy, right? It's in art therapy classes, you are just drawing, you're just creating, and you have a therapist, and it's not doing it for any purpose like views or whatever, fame, right? Anything like it's just about being, right? So yeah, I really think that with Saturn there, your return at around 29 and a half, 30, would have been very, very, you know karmic, obviously, but like a very, very interesting time for you. um and I want to link it also to the fact that you have Venus there, right? So when you have Venus and Saturn together, that can create an energy where a lot of the most important romantic relationships and whatnot don't come until you know after the return, and there can be issues when it comes to self-love, valuing yourself, this, that, and the third. And um, yeah, so that being connected to the node, also the Venus, right? It basically, like, your love life, um there's this big journey that was needed for you to find that self-love. And once that was found, um you have so much faith in your in all your relationships, and all of your relationships. And Saturn and Venus together, it creates like a very loyal, very caring person. But there can be lots of issues with vulnerability, right? Even in Aries. um so basically, yeah, there could be different fears um around forming close relationships and whatnot. And with the South Node in Libra, I could see like why that would be, because in the 12th house, they could have really bitten you in the ass, and there can be the soul remembers these things, right? But I think that on another scale, speaking, Libra, speaking of scales, you're really here to be of service, in the sense that North Node, sixth house, Aries, sixth house it's yeah, it's about being of service, but it's also about being of service to yourself. So people with sixth house North Node, it's like it's almost like a spiritual accomplishment for them to take care of themselves, like the daily routine, the health, diet, working out, meditation, whatever, therapy. um and then there's the link to giving back and whatnot. um but yeah, super, super karmic to have those two together. And yeah, it can really make someone really long for that love, that affection. um but it can be difficult to achieve it. And usually there's lots of, yeah, painful experiences that come up, and yeah, just a lot, like, from a karmic perspective, people from different lifetimes will typically, felt betrayed by you. Um, and, you know, they seek you out, or you seek each other out in this life to balance things out, right? So now we can kind of have an idea that the South Node in Libra in the 12th could, indicate that there's, some love karma, that maybe there's something in that area that really, really needs to be looked at. So that leads me to my next point, is that, okay, well, look at your seventh house. It is filled, sun and moon, the most important, Mercury, Mars, and Black and Lilith, all in Taurus. So, so that that would be a very difficult, like that'd be very difficult to not have codependent tendencies, and the reason for that is because seventh house planets, as opposed to first house, right? First house is about the self, Aries. Seventh house is about Libra, right? So this is Libra house, Libra south node. So you have all of these planets in the house that is connected to your south node. So huge like lessons in love energy, right? Now, with the with the fact that it is Taurus, and then you have your ascendant in Scorpio opposing, your sun and even your moon, it can definitely create an energy where it's almost like Taurus. The high vibe of Taurus is about being able to really go deep inside yourself and find your true it's about not relying on other people, right? It's about finding that heaven on earth within yourself, right? So sometimes Taurus can be overly dependent on anything related to like sensuality, to the material world. It can be very stubborn. So, and also very possessive. So the challenge here is, okay, well, how can you look at your opposite sign, right, which is Scorpio, and learn from it? That's called a polarity point. Especially when you have such a massive stellium, you really want to like say, okay, well, what is the balance between like what is the opposite sign, which is the same energy but opposite manifestation, say about um about this, right? And the way I take it is that Scorpio is all about shadow work. It's all about going inside the self, and at the core essence of this axis is power, right? Now on the low vibe, it is dominating, controlling, and it all comes from self-esteem issues if it's low, and fear of abandonment, right? So that's where you get these really controlling Taurus people or Scorpio people. It's because they don't feel worthy, and they don't feel like they within themselves, they don't feel like they deserve um this person. Let's say they're in a relationship, right? So on the other end, okay, so what is the highest manifestation, right? Well, the highest manifestation is accepting responsibility for everything that's happened. Really finding your role within it, and basically just surrendering and allowing the death, rebirth, transformation, the snake shedding the skin process to happen. This can be very hard for Taurus, as Taurus, like, isn't a sign known, the energy known for liking to shake the boat up, right? But at the same time, there's a massive need to. And Taurus, Venus ruled, so the some, like the fact that's in the Libra house and Taurus, it doesn't want to rock the boat, and it wants things. So being stuck in your south node could look like just acquiescing, right? To to relationships that aren't truly, truly fulfilling. As I said earlier, right? So yeah, the key is to really, go deep into your powers, go deep into your I'll go back to my cam. I'll do it in a sec. But yeah, to really I'll just do it right now. To really, where'd it go? Okay, there I am. So yeah, like the key is to really, 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 really look at yourself honestly. Um, and going back to the North Node, um, to be very brave, and to create a routine, a structure, a life, even if it's your work, whatever it is, that really, really enables you to individualize, right? To do things on your own. It's about independence, right? There's a tendency to rely too much on others to make decisions. So, and like with with yeah, yeah, no, I'll say that for later. So that's massive. So with the Venus, right, going back to that a little bit, you know, in Saturn, I talked about like how, it can make one kind of, yeah, shy in personal relationships, like fearing commitment, all that stuff. Um, and it does bring up those same energies, right? And it's usually like either that person is the controller or the person that's being controlled. You see the theme? Um, Oftentimes, there's a parent that was maybe too strict. And this would make sense because your Chiron's in Aries, which would in the sixth house, which could make you a healer. Um, but ultimately, it can also make you really afraid of that exact thing. Aries, high Aries is someone who speaks their mind. It's like the fire, fiery, fieriest fire possible. It's Mars, right? So Mars isn't afraid of confrontation like Libra is, right? Aries is like, I'm gonna do me and whatever, like it doesn't think twice. It's not, and Libra can be so in that like balancing, oh, how's this person gonna feel? How's that person gonna feel? So, um, yeah, it's really, really asking that. So yeah, it's really overcoming, yeah, feelings of inadequacy. And when you actually combine Venus and Saturn in the highest energy, that's like all about long lasting relationships. And it's also about beauty and old age, right? Um, Very firm foundations, super, super solid, very karmic relationships, Um, so yeah, and then having your destiny, um, being so linked to this this need to develop these harmonious and balanced relationships where you also don't acquiesce. It just makes it just makes relationships so important for you in your life, right? Um and like, yeah, just like the need, because yeah, just making sure that that need to like keep that peace doesn't hinder that decisive Aries uh action, right? um and you have Jupiter in 10th house in Leo, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, so basically, like, the fact that the sun's right on the descendant, um, and it's how many degrees in check? So it is, show me. That's close. But yeah, like the whole, ascendant, opposite, all, all these three, sun, moon, and Mercury, it is difficult, right? And moon opposite ascendant is really, it usually makes someone who has an intense need to be loved, right? To really to be loved and needed, right? Um, it's all about like these very like close emotional bonds. Um, and it can make it really difficult, and especially with second house, to spend time on your own. So being that Venus is creativity, right? And Uranus in the sixth house, which is also, I guess, fifth house is hobbies, but it's like, yeah, it's like what you do on your in your daily life. Also pets. Venus sixth house is it makes pets very, very healing, and you can actually have, yeah, I hope I hope this makes you smile, if it's true, but karmic pets, I would definitely be a signature of that. But yeah, it can make it really difficult, all this energy, to spend time alone, and that can, make someone, you know, go for relationships that they shouldn't be going for, just more out of fear than out of love. But you don't have like a very like like your chart isn't super heavily aspected, interestingly. Besides by the midheaven, ascendant, and then seventh house, and then like aspect of, I should precise, like squares, oppositions. It's a lot more about conjunction. Now, the thing with the moon opposite ascendant is that, so it can definitely create clingy energy, but it can make love kind of like elusive, right? Um, and it goes back to this main thing I said to you, that the more you can satisfy your own emotional needs, um, the more that you're actually likely, and you might be married or whatever. Like I read the same for someone 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. Like, I'm just, it's all potentials, right? So, yeah, like you being able to meet your own emotional needs, and as a Taurus moon, it's very, beautiful moon sign to have. The more you're able to do that, um, like the higher the likelihood of you, really attracting that really high um energies. My eyes can do this twitching thing again. One second. I need to put this dimmer on, light dimmer on my computer. Okay, but it stays. So, oh, so much better. So, yeah, like, so that's already like a huge thing. So then, I was talking about the Chiron this in the sixth. A lot of times that can be, physical inadequacy, you know, um, physical pain as a child, and um, it can actually make one someone who searches for that self-healing, and because of that, they're able to really heal other people. And sixth house is, daily basis, so it could be their job, right? Where they're like teaching some type of healing techniques. Um, and if you're someone who really did overcome all the stuff I've talked about, it could be someone who really inspires people to, um, to find that power within themselves, because Chiron Aries is all about, um, I think of it as like the inner child being violated in a way, like the sense of being just you, of being a kid, but also really like of like asserting yourself. That might be more Leo, but it's still related to fire, right? But like, yeah, just fear of asserting yourself, which is like exactly what your North Node is the North Node is the metaphoric mountain that has not been climbed in past life. So it would make total sense. So Chiron, that's the suffering, the pain. Um, so yeah, in essence, there can be sometimes like an over compensation, trying to be first at everything. But yeah, just that's huge. Okay, so yeah, Moon Taurus. I mean, like very, very, it's a great moon sign, and basically someone with a Moon Taurus can meet their emotional needs quite well. Um, you know, they they are usually quite stable, steady, all that stuff, right? So yeah, it's exalted there, which means it works really well. But yeah, it goes back to like this issue of preferring, the known, the safe, and all that, and the risk, which is that huge Scorpio, Taurus opposition, right? Um, and there can also be like so an emotional need for harmony, for peace, for um and a lot of times it's for things that stay the same, and it's in the seventh house. So um it's an emotional need for relationships, right? So I would say, like, I wouldn't say you're not meant to be in relationships. I would say that it's important for you to find relationships where you're able to really, really manifest yourself creatively, and where there's not like these power games, power struggles, this, that, and the fourth, right? Um, but yeah, like Moon seventh house, um, it just, yeah, it really, it can make like the relationships, primary relationships, like really dominate like your moods. Um, so and putting lots of energy into finding relationships like um that and taking a lot of your emotional well-being from them, right? um so it can, yeah, like I said, it makes the life of a single person very difficult, and they can make someone just restless in their pursuit for a partner. So um yeah, what else can I say about that? Yeah, so it's like a balance between like what I was saying before, Aries like assertiveness, and like that Libra compromise. That's massive. Um and yeah, you're born right after a new moon. Um so that is interesting. So you know that represents being, I mean having your sun and your moon the same sign, same house, same house. It just makes this life all about new beginnings, just like a new moon is, right? And especially in this area of relationships. Um, so um, some people who are new moonies, moon babies, can be a little bit self-centered, um, narrow-minded, lacking objectivity, perspective, all that, which goes back to you not having any air, because air is literally what all those things are. And I already told you that your air is your south node, so it could come naturally, but still, um you know I'm very impressed that you're getting this reading with me, because this is like the exact kind of chart that I would think um would make someone not open-minded to astrology. So I'm very, very impressed by you, like already right off the bat. knowing nothing about you, not even I've never seen a photo. I don't know anything. And you have Black Moon Lilith, you have Mars and Taurus, so it's a little bit further, so it's not conjuncting your Mercury there too. Mercury is you know, it's combust, so that goes further with that potential lack of objectivity. So that's another important thing, to really hear out other people and to accept help, to accept advice that might run counter to to what you believe in and whatnot. But overall, Taurus is a beautiful sign. Like I was saying before, when it can get past that need for control and really like it's really about self-esteem, and feeling that real groundedness within yourself. And from that, like everything can just be beautiful. So yeah. And yeah, I mean, just so much seventh house energy, learning a lot, Mercury there, learning a lot from your relationships, wanting to communicate a lot within them, about them. You could literally be like a therapist for sure. And yeah, just Mercury. So Mercury's unaspected, interesting. So Mercury unaspected Taurus, actually no, it's conjunct. What am I talking about? It's conjunct the moon. That's not, yeah. Yeah, usually it's more logical, less like more about like wanting like science and stuff like that to prove things, and tradition when it comes to ideas. So yeah. Then Mars and Taurus, so that's further up, so that's not really part of like any of the conjunctions. Um, and I should also say that Moon is so close to Mercury. That's actually, that one I like. The Sun Mercury combust is difficult, but the Moon Mercury, that's like pure intuition, right? So that makes one super imaginative, intuitive, where your speech, the way you think, is very linked to your emotions. So usually it's someone who can actually really actually express their emotions quite well, right? Speak with tons of feeling, which is great for creativity, for the arts, anything like that, right? Um, Also really being able to like sense other people's thoughts. I'm putting money that therapy. No, I'm not gonna bet, but like, yeah, I could totally see it, especially because Taurus is so grounding. So with the Mars, it's with Black Moon Lilith. So Mars in Taurus is a placement that you know it is very stubborn if opposed, and it usually kind of follows that more, and that's kind of Taurus in general, like the more reliable course. Um, but yeah, the key is to yeah to lean into the opposite sign Scorpio, and to go through that metamorphosis. And Mars and Taurus is very common, very in successful people's charts. It gives this real ability to follow through. Um, so yeah, it's a placement I like for sure. And to have it so close to Black Moon Lilith, though, um, you know, oh, and also one other thing, like, yeah, Mars in seventh house, Mars, your action. So like literally your action is pushing you towards relationships. So the Black Moon Lilith, um, yeah, is 2 degrees away of the Mars. That's like your kind of the dark side of your personality. So seventh house, I mean, it just makes perfect sense, right? It's like codependency potential, right? Like your lowest vibe, codependency. And it can also be like never feeling satisfied, in relationships. And yeah, just like no one measures up kind of vibe, you know? So it's all about just accepting that no one's perfect. Um, and yeah, just also um, kind of, what am I trying to say? Um, like seeing only the dark side of your partner is it's common with this. Um, and yeah, like just stubbornness in general. And it can also make someone like, power, money hungry in Taurus. So, and, you know, just stubborn, and not willing to budge, and to listen to other people and to do the exact thing I've saying is the most important thing in your whole chart, which is go towards that change. Allow yourself to leave that the known in what's peaceful and what's in what feels comfortable. You need to just say, I'm out. But there's still a reason you're a Taurus, You're a Taurus to experience the high vibe of Taurus. Um, and that is about you finding yourself within yourself, to have a strict, like, to find a moral code. I know I'm over time, but whatever. Um, a moral code that is based on your truest self, right? So you base your decisions off of that instead of off of other people. Um, yeah, just huge need to like not blame, other people close to you, take responsibility, um, and just really, really getting out of the comfort zone and that kind of stubborn refusal to move out of it. So yeah, just surrendering is so huge, and taking risks, healthy risks. Now, aspect wise, Mars is opposite Neptune, so that's interesting. Um, and what what it's only a few degrees off. So Neptune the first, people who have that, they really want to. Well, it definitely can make someone. It goes back to that lack of boundaries between you and other people, and um, I like this placement though, because I think that Neptune first has people, they want to take their dream life and then create. So it could be very creative, right? It's like taking your dream life, like your dreams, your imagination, inspiration, all that, and then imposing it into your actual self, your identity, right? But there can be some like issues with, clarifying who you are, and kind of vagueness in terms of like your identity and self-expression. So, yeah, and the fact that Mars is opposite Neptune, you have to watch out for substances and poisoning. Um, it can definitely kind of just make this battle between, once again, like that assertive Mars energy, right, that wants to move forward, and the Neptune which wants to dream. So it's really a very creative placement. But you know, it definitely has the potential to make one escapist, make one not want to face reality. But it can create spiritual leaders, honestly. So yeah. Um, Also, you have to really watch out, like in love, for like attracting energy vampires. So just always like kind of moving slowly when it comes to that, right? So, and it can also make some people quite paranoid. Yeah, like Neptune, Mars for sure. But yeah, um, oh, I'm so sore. I lifted for the first time in a long time. Um, my like pecs are so sore on my shoulders. But yeah, basically like it's just really important to not lie and to really yeah to have honor because it can make someone kind of like hide their intentions from other people even yeah in any situation um fearing that they won't understand you and your plans or whatever. So I'm gonna have to like get like some glasses or something like those ones when you look at screens. um yeah, but yeah, definitely like that's like one where you have to like really watch out for like addiction, and it can also make one feel kind of like it could create like worries, insecurity, like low self-confidence. Being a Scorpio rising, there is this usually kind of like intense exterior, but yeah, it's just really important, once again, to find that self-confidence, and it's yeah, very very linked to deceptive people, which could be karma from you potentially having done some of that stuff in past lives. I hate saying things like that because like there's different potentials, but like from the different configurations I've seen, that's like you know what I would suppose. It'd have to, I mean, it just makes perfect sense. Um, yeah, so some people with this, like, they can really struggle to like feel like they can do it, like third chakra, so they can go for like drugs and stuff like that to make them feel powerful. Um, so yeah, just like through creative means, that's like the best way to find that inner strength, the arts. So yeah. But yeah, like a good part is it makes someone very sensitive, very caring, um, and someone who wants to like really like stand up for everyone, so yeah. Um, so then being a Scorpio rising, obviously, it's opposite your energy, your Taurus energy, but Scorpio rising is like people know, like when they enter a room, people know, they just have this like this appeal. So they like to observe, they like to kind of see. Um, and where's my charger working? They're not always the most talkative, but people really notice them. Usually beautiful eyes, um, very intuitive. They kind of see through people's shit, and you have Juno right on there, so that adds like a actually a way more calming and soothing vibe to it, right? Um, but yeah, like the fact that Scorpio is fixed, it definitely does give some real. You definitely have follow through for sure, but it's also a very stubborn sign, just like Taurus in the Aries too. So yeah, um, but yeah, very resourceful and secretive. Also, Scorpio's rising secretive usually. Um, so yeah, and yeah, like the key to like really achieving like your true purpose, which your chart is ruled, of course, then by Pluto, right? Um, which is in the 11th house, which I'll talk about. You know, it's really about just acting with integrity at all times, you know, and not going in the low energy that I talked about earlier. So, and really like you have like having that very strong will and applying that to like something that's very positive. So, yeah, anything that's service related is very strong. Um, and yeah, you'll learn a lot through, yeah. I mean, your relationships are your really your lessons, but not just romantic ones. Um, because you know you have Pluto and Uranus. Pluto, your chart ruler. You know, with Uranus in the 11th, right? So Pluto in the 11th, and then you have Pallas there too. Um, it definitely can create someone. So I think of it karmically as like uh past life conditioning, and especially with Uranus there too, like just trauma within groups, friend groups, right? And being misled, the friend groups or you know organizations, whatever it is, you know. Um, and there's a need for you, like really like when you're like with friends or like you know, in any kind of social context, it's like asking yourself the question, you know, to what extent does this group or these friends help me move away from conditioning? And usually there is a need to spend alone time to really kind of like it's like about finding your own individuality within a group context, and that goes with the Uranus also. But like Uranus 11th house, you know, it's about surrounding yourself with people who are authentic, probably eccentric, unusual, but who really, you know, like you know, who are liberated. You know, they're not NPCs as they're called today. You know, people who are just like clones who have no personalities. Um, and yeah, let's see here. So so Pallas in the 11th in Virgo, you know, that gives like a very analytical mind. And very yeah, like yeah, very analytical mind. Um it can make you someone who like works in health in some type of way, healing people, like maybe a doctor, I don't know. And then Pallas, you know, in 11th house, that's about being able to like work in a way that benefits humanity, right? And it also does give you an ability to really work well in groups, but the groups have to fit you well, right? And they can't be people who you know bring you down that condition path. Um, Ceres is in the 12th, so it's in Libra. So once again, you know, Ceres is kind of like a second moon, but not as strong. Obviously, one of the four major asteroids. So it's like you know, you really need that peace, that beauty, um, and really you know relationships where that atmosphere of balance and harmony exists. And yeah, really, it's like a need for cooperation, but the key once again is to not bend to the people pleasing side of it. And then Series in the 12th, it's you really nurturing yourself and others when you feel like you're giving to humanity and finding that oneness. Um, so yeah, like the spiritual lesson is really um, helping others who are suffering. Juno in Scorpio, it's kind of like your ideal mate, conjunct part of fortune. So once again, you know, you might be very lucky when it comes to love, even with all this. But like the love is very karmic regardless. So you might have had lots of relationships that you know was, and even Venus sixth house. I didn't mention it. It's like even that by itself, you feel as though like a lot of the relationships are um about like from past lives, like balancing out. Like so like you might have like lots have have had lots of karmic relationships where like maybe it was here and the goal was to make it here, you know, balance things out. But yeah, Juno and Scorpio, in the first house, you know, your ideal mate is someone who is independent, someone who is you know, on top of their who helps you push forward into your Aries way of power, you know? So yeah, just like someone who helps you kind of move, someone who's very non-codependent. But then in the Scorpio side, you know, it's that real intensity and that death rebirth transformation, that person that helps you escape your comfort zone. And also Taurus and Scorpio, obviously there's a high level of sensuality and all that. So then Jupiter finally, you know, up here in the 10th house, that is a, a career guardian angel. You know, usually people who have that are quite successful. They're, you know, getting lucky, karmically lucky, you know, when it comes to meeting the right people to help push them forward in their career. Um, and in Leo, it's a beautiful place in Jupiter in Leo. Yeah, it definitely makes someone love kids, very fun-loving, gregarious himself, enthusiastic and creative, you know, like always on the search for like creative expression. And usually like I've never met a Jupiter in Leo that doesn't love kids. And it kind of gives like almost like uh an inner child as well. And that's what the Taurus also wants of you. You know, Taurus wants to have fun and wants to like the Scorpio can rising can make you appear more serious than you really are. So overall, you know, it's very clear that, you know, you're trying to move away from being pushed around. And that, oh, and then you have Venus trine Jupiter, which is one of the best aspects in astrology, just in terms of like just good karma and luck. And you know, sixth house, 10th house. So that actually makes those two houses really good. And those are those are two of the houses that have to do a lot with your career and your dharma. So you know, it would, you know, how many degrees is it separated? 2 degrees, point what? 0.15. Yeah, so it's really beautiful. It definitely makes makes them popular. Really good at putting other people at ease, and yeah, it just adds like this really benefic energy to these areas of life. And yeah, and then I guess I can also say that your moon and your Mars are trining Pluto. So you know that on its own, it's it really is that what do I call that? Yeah, that's just like really good for leadership, you know. It's just about not being too controlling, um, and someone who you know is good at motivating other people, and who likes a good challenge. And it's similar with Mars and Pluto trine. It you know it's very good for leadership, um, and having a very high energy level. And when you put your mind to something, you get it. Um, and also it's part of that kind of like wanting to right the wrongs of the world around you. So I'm just gonna look at one other thing. I've gone literally over double 30-minute reading, but I don't know. I don't know. So let me just check anything. Yeah, Nemesis on your sun, the seventh house, like with all the stuff I talked about, it's like you can definitely like have your lover be your nemesis, you know, so you have to once again watch out for the energy vampires. Um, mhm, yeah, nothing there. Oh yeah, and then of course also Mars in Black Moon Lilith, I didn't talk about that. That just goes further to this like real you know, just like witch energy is just like very, very powerful energy. Um, but you know, it can also um make you overbearing, and it can kind of like make some of that kind of like and remember, it's not a planet Black Widow, so it could have made some of that like lower um Taurus energy come out, um stubbornness and all the stuff I talked about. It could also make someone like very headstrong, you know, definitely like no problem, you know, standing up for what you believe in, your opinions, all that stuff. But it can be like a quite forceful kind of way of doing it. So yeah, but really in the end, it's like someone who just keeps pushing through and gives tremendous willpower. Um, so what's this one? So well, so yeah, and then like last thing I'll say, you have Alphard, the star on Jupiter, so that's just really good for gain. Um, you know, and also you know it gives strong passions. Um, so yeah, and I think about Alphard, it's you know a lot about wisdom, musical talent, or just artistic appreciation. So you know maybe that played a role in your career, or plays a role in your career. Um, so yeah. Um, let me see one thing. So another thing about this is that you have like it brings up this poison, which I've said twice in this short reading. But like it could be metaphoric as well. Um, like where like a poisoning is also possible in a relationship. Um, like also you have to watch out for just like poisoning. So substances, you probably shouldn't touch them. Um, but like that's more common in a male chart for that to be the case. So yeah, it can be very good for growing, and it's Jupiter. So yeah. Anyways, thank you for your patience. I went way over. I should probably take a 30-minute reading off my site because there's no way I can do one realistically. Um, but you know, because I just care too much about um you you know, getting the message. But I hope you enjoyed. And so yeah, last thing, I know you got like the mini reading. So most people they do is they get the reading plus the follow-up. Um, you know, so if you want to do that, let me know. I'll give you a why is my power being so weird? A you know a discounted price. But the follow-up, so basically Charge computer. Charge. Yes. So, okay, most people get reading, then live follow-up, and then they mix the live follow-up with the current astrology, right? So, let me know, basically like the follow-up, an hour, we compare your lived experience with everything I talked about. The current astrology, it's the same, it's in the same, you know, it's the same, it's in the same day, the same record, the same Zoom session. But that's about all of the current astrology and how it's affecting you. And I'd give that at a massive discount. So if you were to get just the follow-up, it's usually 150. I would do it for 120. But if you were to get the current astrology, which is usually 350, and the follow-up, I would do it for 350 total, both of them. So, and that's, like I said, I didn't say it. It's usually 3 hours, sometimes a little bit more for first hour follow-up. And then after that, it's current astrology, me using all of my predictive techniques, which is a completely different, you know, part of astrology. I also have 2 masters in psychology. So, yeah, anyways, thank you so much and talk to you later. Ciao. Bye-bye.